Welcome to Dig Deep, the mining podcast. In this podcast, we go deep into mining news, hot topics, and live interviews with mining professionals and leading figures in the mining industry. Introducing your host, Rob Tyson, founder and director of Mining International and Mining International Executive, a leading global mining recruitment and headhunting agency.
Hi, mining community. Welcome back to another episode of the Dig Deep, the mining podcast, the show that brings you the latest insights, thought leadership, and stories from across the global mining industry. In today's show, we have Chris Hopkins, who's the CEO of Canadian Energy Metals, a company advancing its Thor project, one of the most exciting emerging critical minerals developments in North America. Thor is attracting attention not only because of the scale of the deposit, but also because of its strategic importance. With North America currently importing most of its aluminium, projects like this could play a significant role in strengthening domestic supply chains. Add to that strong local infrastructure, including rail, power, and nearby hydro, it becomes a very interesting development story. Chris brings a wealth of technical and leadership experience to the project, guiding it from early concept through to testing and towards potential production. Today, we're going to talk about the discovery itself, the technical milestones that have proved the project could work, and the broader role it could play in the future of critical minerals in North America. So, Chris, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. Nice to meet you, Rob.
Yeah, and yourself. So, as we always start these podcasts off, I just wonder if you can just tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your career. Obviously, I mentioned just in the introduction that you've obviously got a wealth of technical and leadership experience. So I just wonder if you can just tell the audience a little bit about yourself, how your career has developed, some of the companies that you worked for, and work through your career until present day.
Oh, sure. Well, I started my career with the Iron Ore Company of Canada. That's then the largest mining company in Canada, as their first environmental control manager. My background educationally was in the sciences, chemistry and biology. And following a few years in that role, which was quite key because the environment was a new topic. We were in Newfoundland, and I worked with the regulatory authorities to help build the regulatory framework for the environmental assessment and that sort of thing at the time. I did an MBA at Queen's University in Canada, and then came into the Canadian oil industry. There I was in management and executive capacities in a variety of companies, Amoco Canada, Pembina Resources, and I ended up in Suncor in the oil sands, where I spent quite a bit of time. Finally, by the 2000s, I had left Suncor, and the former president of Suncor and I started a small oil sands company called Sinenco Energy. That was a terrific experience. We discovered a new resource. We developed it. We partnered with the Chinese company Sinopec, and through all that, I discovered a new career path. So since then, I've started another oil sands company, an oil shale company, and now today the polymetallic shell that we have here at Canadian Energy Metals. So background in business, management, and in the environment.
Okay, great. Just wonder if you can give us a snapshot of Canadian Energy Metals.
Sure. Well, we're a small company, but we're not a startup. This is the third major project that we've been developing. My team has been together since Sinenco, so in large measure. So we know what we're doing in terms of approaching a new resource, and we've developed a business plan in how to harness that resource, delineate it, demonstrate that the products are there, demonstrate how to produce them, and achieve sort of technical and economic feasibility. And then we're smart enough to know that we need to get the large expert companies involved to actually undertake the development. That going that extra step is beyond our intent. So for us, that's been the formula to our success, and it's worked well here at Canadian Energy Metals. there with Canadian Energy Metals, we had an idea that there was a resource here, but it had never been drilled and looked at with that kind of assessment in mind. We drilled our discovery hole in 2022. And here we are today. We've recently announced our PEA, and we're in the process of pre-feasibility, meaning that we're designing a production facility to construct at our site in central Saskatchewan.
Thor is obviously an incredible discovery, and it's not every day that you see a resource obviously of that size in North America. What actually stood out to you personally when you first saw obviously the potential of the deposit, and what were some of the biggest aha moments for your team in proving it actually could work?
Sure. Well, initially it was the sheer magnitude. The discovery wells that we drilled, and we initially thought the thickness of the deposit was not going to be that great, 30 meters perhaps. What we found as we drilled and evaluated and assayed the resource was that in fact it was in excess of 90 meters thick. And so the magnitude, the sheer magnitude was overwhelming. Then identifying aluminum as the key metal, that was not our original thought. So we were surprised by the metal, and then the realization that this was in fact a significant discovery, that what we thought it would be was a cluster of metals, zinc, nickel, copper, that kind of thing, and it turned out to be dominated by the aluminum matrix. So for me, the magnitude was a big deal. The aha moment was when the recovery process started to kick off our products. What we saw was high purity in the earliest of products. They were demonstrating a high purity, alumina purity. And so that was the aha, that the resource was clean and could yield such high purity products. We hadn't expected that. And then the probably the most significant factor ultimately was the fact that the processes that are working best are a radical departure from, in terms of the environment, from the processing of bauxite. That what we have is clean and effective and lower energy use than what we would see normally in bauxite processing.
The project benefits from great, obviously, local infrastructure, including rail power and nearby hydro. How much does that make your life obviously easier when thinking about developing a project of that scale?
Well, the most important factor initially was the effectiveness of our spending. So our previous projects in northern Canada, in remote areas, we would expend $100 million before we ever got holes drilled. I mean, we had to build roads and build camps and bring the people in and house them and support them. Here, they stay in hotels. All of the infrastructure we need is existing, and so virtually all of our money goes into the ground, and it's very effective spending.
Developing Thor from concept to pilot testing must have involved some obviously tricky technical decisions. Were there any milestones like testing the metallurgy or even processing techniques that really convinced you the project could actually succeed commercially?
Well, we have a sequenced view to developing a resource like this. So a series of steps that we've undertaken, repeatedly before. That's what we're doing. But I'd say early on, the milestones that needed to be met were: is the resource there? Well, check mark, yes. Does it contain metals? Check mark, yes. I mean, these things you learn. You don't know them in advance, and so. Then the most important milestone was, can the metals be extracted, and that's what we've got a series of check marks in our boxes so far. There's still more to do, other metals and other products, but we've reached the milestones associated with the most important metal, the alumina products. So then the importance when it's a polymetallic shale, there's the sequence, there's which order of recovery from the metals. Like these are chemistry driven processes, and you've got to arrange them and select. So we've been doing that, and we've got that in mind, or we've got that answered. So that's working. And ultimately, it's all about de-risking. Every step is a de-risking step. And what is really important is that the risks don't go away, they change, so that there's always another risk in front of us. But we've been de-risking steadily through the whole process. So I don't know if that is the answer, but that's what we've seen.
Scaling from pilot work to obviously full production is a big leap. What are the types of challenges that keep you and obviously your team thinking creatively day to day?
Well, we've got to harness our own team, the teams of our contracting engineering companies, Hatch and Stantec, and so for us, it's worked very effectively. We've integrated well. There's an excitement amongst all of our team members, which is really helpful. The main problem, though, is not to silo information. And so we work hard to maintain open communication between all of our respective groups, and then internally we maintain a flat organization structure. We make decisions in the field as they need to be made. They don't come back to head office very often. So those are the best ways that we've found to work these problems through.
Thor has also obviously has some interesting byproducts like Scandium and Vanadium. How do you think about those in terms of obviously strategy, or are they just nice extras or something that could be really shape in how you develop this particular project?
Well, I'm a pragmatist on this. 85% of our value is associated with the aluminum, as far as we can tell. And now we do have a healthy amount of scandium and vanadium. Those are next in queue for us to examine. We'll be doing that later this year. But from my perspective, the main product is the aluminum. That's always got to be the first order of business. The scandium, should it emerge, could be quite valuable, but probably on the order of 10%. So we can't let that disturb our focus.
Obviously, North America imports most of its aluminum. If Thor comes online, how do you see it helping obviously local supply chains?
I can't understate how important the potential for North America to have a domestic source of aluminum can be. Currently, there are no major sources of aluminum in North America. So this is transformational, especially the scale of what we've found. I mean, it equates so far to roughly a third of the known supply of aluminum globally within an area the size of a medium-sized city. So uh, this truly is a remarkable opportunity for North America and for the people of North America and the economies of North America. Secondly, is the fact that there's the environmental benefits associated with developing this resource, as opposed to bauxite, which is the common source of aluminum worldwide, bauxite recovery. This resource is clean and uses less energy. Those are important characteristics. So overall, I think we're going to transform the market.
If you're looking at the mining sector overall, obviously projects are getting bigger and more complex than ever. From your perspective, what advice would you give a obviously younger professional who wanted to work in these kinds of large scale, long term projects?
You know, for me, mining is the most exciting industry in the world. It's been a spectacular career. There's nothing I can recommend more to young people than to get into this industry. But I would warn young people that, you know, get out of your comfort zone, go to the mines. If you're looking for work, knock on the door. Don't rely on letters and resumes. Go there. Once you're in, every company I've ever seen wants to improve the lot of their employees, and you will progress up the chain. So it's a great industry. Go there, see the world. It is fantastic.
Yeah. And lastly, what's the short to medium term outlook for Canadian energy metals, say over the sort of next 12 to 18 months?
Well, we're on path to finalize our alumina product mix, which is high purity alumina, chemical grade alumina, and smelter grade alumina. We're just finalizing smelter grade alumina testing. Then we'll begin scandium testing and vanadium testing. We are hopefully going to have a design for our commercial demonstration plant later in the year or early in the next year. And we're also seeking to monetize the assets that we've found. And so corporately, we expect to change and offer monetized value and liquidity for our shareholders as soon as we can.
Great to hear. Chris, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for sharing your journey. Thank you for telling us a little bit more about Canadian Energy Metals and what you're looking to achieve. Obviously, it's a vast project, and I wish you all the best for that. If our audience wants to reach out to you, if they want to follow the story, how can they go about doing that, and what social media platform channels are you on?
Well, Rob, you're welcome, and thank you for the opportunity. www.canadianenergymetals.com. That should have all anyone needs.
Great. We include those in the show notes for easy access, so our listeners can obviously follow the story and reach out to you if they have any questions. So all the best for the remainder of the year. Hope the project goes well, and maybe you want to come on next year and give us an update.
Absolutely, and stay tuned.
Yeah. No worries. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed that episode as always. Appreciate your support. Please keep sharing these episodes far and wide, and obviously follow the story of Canadian Energy Metals, as we've all the details obviously in the show notes. So thank you again for listening, and until next time, happy mining.
Thank you for listening. Remember to reach out to Rob via the show notes, and be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Until next time, happy mining, helping each other to improve the mining industry.